primary focus, Mackevision's primary focus is delivering 3D visualization and animation and film production to agencies and film studios. One of the things that we focus on is creating pipelines that can deliver multiple assets. One of the things that we found as we've worked is that bringing together multiple assets is important, but if you can't deliver thousands of assets, then you can never move into the global market, because products typically have a local market and they have a global market, which means assets need to be produced specifically for that local market. So when you multiply it across a global company like VW or Chrysler, you have to be able to deliver just those assets to that group, and it can be very costly. So we found that. So we're going to give you I'm going to play a demo reel to kickstart the demo, but we appreciate you all coming.
All right. So as I was saying earlier, one of the major things that we face as a studio is really being able to deliver those assets to all the markets for the manufacturers. So when we're working with manufacturers, we find that there are several things that they're very concerned about. Number one, they're very concerned about their security of their data. So the model that we use is an image-based model, which means we can deliver all of the image in whatever configuration to the user via the web, which allows them to position the vehicle in the way that they want and produce the assets they need for that local market. So by design, our pipeline is one of the most important structures of our company, and I think that allows us to have dynamic scalability, so we can take on projects as small as one vehicle, but we can scale it up to do an entire fleet. For example, we just finished VW, and within 8 weeks we rendered 40,000 images. So when you're talking about 40,000 different images, you have to have a very robust pipeline in order to deliver that. So one of the things that we're also faced with as a company is that, that when the clients come to us, they have a massive amount of work that has to be done in a ridiculous time, and they want the budget to be reduced from what it was initially, and they still want the quality. So how do you produce 40,000 high-quality images in 8 weeks? And we built a pipeline that will be able to sustain that, and tools that will allow us to basically distribute that information to the end user. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce Picture Shooter now. This is Picture Shooter. Picture Shooter is a web-based application that's designed for creatives. So our team at Mackevision essentially goes in and produces all the trim levels of the model. We'll go in and break down every stick shift, every radio, every wheel, every option that's on the vehicle. We'll go ahead and prepare that data, and then we go ahead and take that information and we upload it after it's gone through product review, after it's went through Gen 7 approval, and so the product is 100% accurate. Then we'll take that model, upload it to the web, and then at the local level, the person will have rights when they log in. They can essentially come in and pick the vehicles that are in their local area. So you can see down here at the bottom, you have choices of vehicles. You just click on them, and that vehicle will load. So let's say, for example, you were doing vehicles, Chrysler vehicles for Brazil. We can structure it so that the client will only see the vehicles that were made in that local market. So we have a massive database, and all these vehicles are driven out of them with a simple interface that the artist can use. So not only can you get the vehicle, you can see that what we've done here is we've allowed you to also move the vehicle around. So you can move the vehicle, you can position it, you can position the camera, and you have nice tools. You can zoom in here so that you can see exactly where you want to position it. We also make a very fast proxy model that gives you an example of where the vehicle is going to be. Then as soon as you let go, we're leveraging our V-Ray technology to actually create the real-time image that you're seeing. So this is existing on our basically secure cloud, and we're accessing the data directly from that database on the cloud. So another couple things that are great about the program is that you can go in, for example, and you can change any of the options. So for example, let's go in here and look at the paint color. So let's say I want to try the Mango Tango. So the artist who is working at the creative local level can configure the product the way that they want to. So they can change it to orange, they can change the rims, they can change any of the options, they can add different types of all-wheel drives, etc. For example, I'll just turn on the sunroof here. And so you can see that, you know, with all the options that they have, so they have the subsect of their of what can be provided to that local market, and that's filtered. But then still within that group, they can pick whatever option or trim option within the vehicle, exterior or interior, and then render custom high-resolution frames from Picture Shooter. So this is just a preview. So what will happen is that you can actually go in once you've got the angle. We have included tools that allow you to, you know, take a snapshot of this, and then you can go in, for example, and save, cache the actual, you know, camera and the position of the camera, and then you could turn it here and then cache another, and then you should be able to simply swipe it and go back between the versions. So some creative tools that we've added so that you can check as creative, you know, between two different colors or whatever you like on screen. So you can also import your own backplate. So we have some ones that are standard that come. We work with all the major distributors for background HDRIs. We actually use symbols, which contain a much broader version of information in an HDR form that will help with the scene overall. So, for example, I'm just going to load one of these backgrounds here. Let's say this Renee Straude background. A lot of these backgrounds, if they're just a single backplate, we've created the HDRI dome from it, then we put the back plate on, but we also set it so that the camera is locked and the position of the vehicle will automatically be aligned in the scene. It takes a little bit of time to load that. One of the things that we have within our studio is we have the ability to ramp up our production because we have a very specific pipeline. You can see here now that the HDRI dome is recolorizing the object. Basically, now you can still go in and change it. Now you can't, the camera here is locked, so the position of this and the ground plane are together. So this means that the person on the end who's creating the creative image ensures that the car is on the ground when they do the shot. So, but you can go in and you can move the actual vehicle. So if you wanted to move the vehicle up a little bit like that, you know, you could do that. You could go in here, you can rotate it a little bit. We have some gizmos to rotate, you know, so you can quickly come in and move the vehicle around. You're going to get the realistic lighting that you're going to get from the HDRI, and this will very quickly allow the marketing group at the end location to be able to take the scene that they like, put the car in, and upload the vehicles. So you can also import your own backplate here, so you can upload a symbol, or you can upload HDRI, or you can up just a standard background plate as you're working. So once you've got your vehicle in place and you're getting ready to animate, you can go down. You can this particular view is locked, but if the view was not locked, you can set up your own animation ring. Each of these points here would allow you to animate the camera around, and you can make multiple positions for the vehicle. And each one of those frames will render out in an animation, and so you can set up customized animations for turntables and this type. And that's why they're generating 40,000 images, because they're generating a turntable, but then they're generating every option off of that turntable. Okay, so did want to show that. Also, some of the scene control information. You can control the, let me just go here real quick. You can control the environment. You can offset the map and rotate it around. You can offset and increase or enhance the look and the feel of the HDRI in the scene, make it brighter, make it not brighter. You can adjust the position of the sun. So you really can set it up if you have a specific shot that you know that you like and you want to match the lighting, or you want to adjust the lighting based on, you can do it here, or you can do it in post. So let me go ahead and go back here, up here a little bit. So in the new version as well, we also have transforms. This particular vehicle doesn't, but now we've added animation, so you can open the doors, you can, turn the tires, you can open the trunk, you can turn the lights on and off, and so we're working on adding animation as well. So this gives the creatives even more control on the generation side. So let's look at some of our rendering settings. You can see that this is the first indication that we can connect the shadow and the diffuse, and basically we have an entire light rig set up using V-Ray, and everything that you see in the real time is then reflected in the final render. So once you've got your image, it's in place, you've uploaded your background, you're ready to go, you just simply come down and say order picture, and you put your email address in there. And this would be, it gives you an option. You can also load and unload different setups. So if you set a camera up in one scene and you want to put the same camera in another scene, you can transfer that back and forth. So then you're going to go ahead and choose whether you want it to be the specific image or you want it to be an animation path. You can set the size of the render here. So you can see we have a full set of sizes all the way up to 7K. So our pricing structure is based on how many images you're going to, how many images you'll produce, and so that is where you do that at. So you can pick the format that you want to export the data in. So if you're interested in exporting it as an EXR, V-Ray and the back end will produce an EXR with all the channels combined into a single image. So this means that whoever's on the other end doing the compositing or putting the Photoshop work together immediately has a fully layered V-Ray file that they're rendering directly off the web. So you can see that, again, I can have it a single image, or I can produce all of the V-Ray layers in a single file, which then you can open in Photoshop and then begin to adjust. And again, it will send you a zip file, or it will send you a non-zipped file. So what will happen is you go ahead and press the button, you set the size of the render that you want, it goes to the farm sends you an email that says the image has been rendered, and it gives you a specific login for just that image or set of images on the FTP. You log in, download your images, start putting them in Photoshop. You can see also there's some interesting options here. For example, within the picture shooter, if it has multiple items, you can select it and order it in all the available colors. So if you have an animation path and you want it to render every frame of every animation path with each color that's actually loaded into the system, it can do that automatically for you right here. So I wanted to give you a little example of the kind of image that you can get out and some of the processes that we use to take these images and composite them into a final shot. Just going to go here really quick to the Dodge homepage. So all of these images that we built for Chrysler, are loaded onto the Dodge website in the configurator. So as soon as I select an image, you're going to see the vehicle that we were just looking at that was created in Picture Shooter. We did it for Chrysler, and then Sapient said, okay, we're going to use the same assets from the Picture Shooter to build the Dodge website out. So they decided on a background from Moofy, and then they went in and began to produce that image. And I'm going to let you see what the Photoshop file looks like to produce that image. So, all right. So, view. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the images that we ended up producing. So we kept the same camera, but for example, let me just go ahead and turn some of these off so that you can get an idea of how we produced it. So of course, we have all of the V-Ray passes and masks for each of the parts of the vehicle. So as we go through and we set the vehicle up, we basically ID and use material IDs on all the components of the cars based on the material type that's there, and this allows them to quickly create masks for every level. You can see our shadow. We can turn our shadow on and off there. And what we've done, let me just show you on here. So we're taking the back plate, we're just taking that straight up. Then we're using the reflection dome that's generated from, and then we produce a low resolution light map, so that would be for our reflections. We often retouch it and get it up to. We use the civil, and I just wanted to go show you what we do. So we take this, we load different backgrounds in. So we load the one with the reflection on the ground. We load the one that's just flat. And then we load a background that'll give us highlights, and then we load the actual image itself. And so we're actually producing multiple images with different lighting sources, so that when the end user is compositing together for the marketing that they're doing, they have all of those assets available. So you can see there's just that's the wet surface, and so we've just put a mask on that, kind of faded it off, so now that it's blending into the background. With nice wheel grading, start to add some of these together, and you can see that. So this is just a highlight and metal pass that we basically were able to extract using the IDs and the layers that come rendered directly from V-Ray. So I just wanted to finish up and say that, why the challenges exist out there to really be able to deliver these fully rendered images securely within the organization and have no data going out, not shipping the model out, not having a virtual garage, but essentially having a tool like this where you can essentially log in, load whatever background, move the geo around, position it how you want, and have it basically render on the cloud, return that image to you so that you can work creatively in that space, and then you can essentially order the image that you want, and it will be sent directly to you. So, like I said, for the VW project, we prepared the vehicles over 3 months, and within 8 weeks they produced 40,000 images from our system. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for coming, and thank you for Chaos for having us. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day at the show, even though there's not much time left. If you have any questions about any of our tools or any of our processes, I'll be available here and for questions.